And we are live, and after the most difficult run of that man's time at Manchester City, well, they might not be showing it, but they can smile again as the players arrive at Selhurst Park. Rico Lewis with his headphones in. Nico, he's part of the MatchDay squad. So is young Jamai, part of the MatchDay squad. And that losing streak is over. Who will be in goal? Well, we're going to tell you very, very soon. Ilkay Gündoğan under the hat. Always mention that we go to the same barbers. That's probably why he's covering it up. Jeremy Doku's so good in midweek in that win over Nottingham Forest. And Kyle Walker with the wash bag under his sleeve. Scott Carson, will he make another Matchday squad? He's down there, you'd think he would. Ederson hasn't been in the starting team for a couple of games. Walking in with Matheus Nunes. High fives for the mascots. Look at Erling and that wonderful hair. And Savio is the last. So there we go. Let's get the team. Well, it is Ortega going in goal and not Ederson. Kyle Walker is back. He will captain the team today, playing in defence alongside Ruben Dias and Josko Gvardiol. How many goals has he chipped in with in this season? Rico Lewis is back in as well. Both of his goals in his career have come against Crystal Palace. Ilkay Gündoğan will hold that midfield together, playing alongside Bernardo Silva. And Kevin De Bruyne starts. How good was he against Nottingham Forest in midweek? Savinho gets a starting berth as well with the number 26 on his back. He'll be looking to get at them. So will Matheus Nunes, assisting the attack, led by, as ever, the big man up front. Erling Haaland starts up top with a point to prove because Mo Salah's overtaken him in the Golden Boot standings. Hello, hello. Welcome to Manchester City's Matchday Live. It's been a difficult little run, hasn't it? A November to forget. Let's be honest about that. But we all watched the game in midweek and it was a crushing clean sheet victory. Manchester City back to winning ways. And no doubt there is reasons to smile again in the blue half of Manchester. I'm Chris Latcham, going to be with you all afternoon for the big game away at Selhurst Park against Crystal Palace. And we've got two wonderful guests in the studio with us today, both who have represented this fine club, but also have a foot in the other camp as well. Kit Symons and Keith Curle are with me. I think we have to start, boys, by getting straight into that team. The first thing I can smile about is that Kevin De Bruyne, who played so well in midweek, Keith, is fit enough to go again.
Yeah, and I think there probably has been a temptation from Pep to have brought him back earlier than what he has. And I think a lot of people would have said, he's been getting appearances in the second half of games, and people would say, well, if he's fit enough to be on the bench, we need him to be starting when you're on a losing run like we've been on. But I think, and that's down to Pep when he said no. He makes the decision when the player's right, not necessarily born out of results. It's about being what is right for Kevin, which I think is you take credit for that for him.
Yeah, he said in his pre-match press conference before this one, Kit, he said, I would love Kevin De Bruyne to be 23 years old. I'd give him a 10-year contract and we could pin everything on him. But he's 33 and he's had these two long-term injuries. He's finding his way back. But he shows that when he's at it, he's still the old Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah, I mean, he was so important. Just his influence on the game the other night, obviously scoring and an assist as well. So he's vital. As much as the forward play and the scoring, I think he just settles things down sort of defensively as well. You know, he can play a big part in that. And, yeah, it's great to have him back. But like you say, he's got to manage himself now. You know, he'll know his body better than anyone. And they'll look after him for sure. So, yeah,
this is Kevin's assist from midweek. Was that going in?
No, I don't think it was. I looked at it from behind the goal, the other angle. I think it was probably going just wide. So I'll give him credit. I think he picked him out with the header. But... It's just, again, the positions he takes up to suddenly find that space, you know, to be all alone. And even for his goal now that he scores in a minute, I mean, it's a lovely little chip as well. It's a great little deep...
Yeah, it's quality from Ilkay. It's almost a pre-assist from him, isn't it? And Bernardo at the far post just tapping that one in. So that was the assist from Kevin in midweek, but it wasn't just the assist he chipped in with. He got himself a goal. And you're right, he was pulling the strings in that game against Nottingham Forest, Keith.
Yeah, I think he's a player that has an effect on other players around him as well, not only when he's in possession of the ball, but when he's in and around the box. Can he get it to Kevin? Because a lot of teams are coming in, shutting up shop against City, getting men behind the ball. Kevin will find space, and then I think that has a trigger effect then. When players know that the ball's going to be at Kevin's feet, they make runs, because he knows, he hasn't got to necessarily see them, he knows where they should be, and he puts the balls into very good areas.
Yeah, he always does. Today will be his 266th Premier League appearance, Kevin De Bruyne. He's moved level with Joe Hart as the third in the all-time list of Manchester City Premier League appearances. He's only got David Silva and Sergio Aguero ahead of him. I think he'll catch Aguero this season as well, if he can stay fit. But ultimately, if you've got Kevin De Bruyne and he's fully fit and he's playing at the very top of his game, it makes Manchester City a very different team, doesn't it?
Well, it does. It's been well documented, obviously, Rodri being out. De Bruyne is probably nigh on as important to the team as well. He's absolutely vital. And when he's fit and playing well, he's a joy to watch. And like I say, the other players then respond to that as well. So he's so important.
Yeah, just want to focus on the full team. So we've given the team out, but 4 changes from the midweek win over Nottingham Forest. Now, 2 of them are enforced because Nathan Ake, we were told by Pep in the pre-match press briefing that Ake was injured, but Manuel Akanji was being monitored. He's not fit enough for the matchday squad. We think he's close. So maybe against Juventus in midweek, Manchester United next week. But Doku and Grealish rotating out. And Grealish was sensational in midweek in a more central role. I'm sure he'll be very disappointed that he's not back in, but he hasn't scored for a year, Jack Grealish, in all competitions. His last game was the one that we covered against Crystal Palace, which was a year ago. I wonder what this move central will do for Jack, even though he's not in the starting team today.
Yeah, well, I think it will give him a big lift, that the fact that he played so well. But like you say, Chris, players in that position, it's assists and scoring goals that are really, really important. And he needs to start doing that again. And he's got the ability to do it. And people
That was the game last year, December last year, the 2-2, Jack Grealish with his most recent goal. Sorry, carry on.
But I think there's a genuine feeling people want Jack to do so well because he's such a popular...
Yeah.
Even non-City fans, I think, want Jack Grealish to do well because he's such a likeable character. But like I say, I think hopefully this will give him confidence this game midweek and a really strong performance.
Yeah, we're going to hear from Michael Brown, who's pitchside on Jack Grealish and his performance as well in midweek. So they're the 4 players that have rotated out. Jeremy Doku scored a goal, got an assist as well in midweek. Yes, he did. So Carl Walker's come in, he's going to captain the team. Savinho on the wing, Mateus Nunes and Rico Lewis as well. And there's this really curious stat about Rico Lewis that he's only scored 2 goals in the Premier League. Both of them have come against Crystal Palace. One in the 2-2 draw at the Etihad last year and in the 4-2 win away at Selhurst Park. He's a terrific player, going in both directions, Keith.
Yeah, definitely. And I think he's gaining valuable game understanding as well, and which the positions that he can play and look are natural, whether it's a fullback, a holding midfield player, as an advanced midfield player, even sometimes at wide areas play, it's playing slightly out. Now that education that he's gaining while playing in a team that's been at the top of their game, phenomenal for the young man, experience.
I'm pretty sure this is Rico's goal from this time last year. Look at this, whack it, yeah. We were up in the amazing studio up in the Etihad with a brilliant view of that goal. It was at our end of the field, I remember it, and a big moment for that young man, his first ever Premier League goal. I want to focus on another thing about the midweek win over Nottingham Forest, Kit, in that 3 goals were scored, clean sheet was kept, which I think was important after the recent run that City have been on, but also a victory without Erling Haaland scoring. So not focusing on Erling so much, but the fact that goals are coming from elsewhere in the team. How important is that for you?
Yeah, I think that's very important because, we want goals and to an extent you don't care where they come from as long as they do come. But if it's always from the one source, which, he's a phenomenon, isn't he? And he scores so many goals. Incredible. And we're very pleased we've got him on our side. But I think it is also important that they shared about because otherwise, if teams know good luck trying to stop him, if they know they've just got to stop him, then there's no other goals anywhere else, and it becomes easier to defend against for sure. So spreading the goals out is an important thing, I think. So I think that would please Pep greatly as well. Yeah,
he likes playing against Crystal Palace as well, Keith. He scored in all 3 of his Premier League appearances against Crystal Palace, and he sent his real first warning to the Premier League in August 2022 against Crystal Palace, scoring his first Premier League hat-trick, and I've lost count of how many he's got.
He's got a few. Yeah, I know, just touching on what Kit said, I think we lost goals last year, or this year, with Alvarez leaving, so then it was important then where else are we going to get goals. And again, the style of play, dominating possession of the ball, moving into that final third, more people getting in and around Haaland, and sometimes to occupy people that are trying to double up on Haaland as well. You need people to make those forward runs, and I think Kevin De Bruyne, prime example of that. He can appear in and around Kevin, or he can be the supplier of finishes for Kevin as well.
Yeah, there's an example of Erling scoring against Crystal Palace. That was from the 4-2 win. I think it was in April this year towards the end of the season. It was against Oliver Glasner, who'd made that brilliant start for Crystal Palace. We'll get on to them. One point that I want to make about Erling Haaland, though, is that he had that blistering start to this season, Kit. He scored 10, I think, in his first 5 games. Obviously, it was impossible to keep that kind of run going. The goals have still been coming in all competitions, but not so much in the Premier League. And now Mo Salah's overtaken him. We know what strikers are like. Erling will be well aware that he's not leading that Golden Boot charge. No,
he'd be well aware of it for sure. But I think also, from what I've seen of him, he'd be more focused on the team doing well again. And strikers can be selfish, and I'm sure that's a fact, and that's what makes
defenders
them,
in the studio.
Exactly, you can say that, 2 centre halves. But that's what makes them as good as they are. But also, I think bigger than that, I think he'll genuinely want the team to start doing well again, which hopefully, like I say, the result in midweek turned the corner now after a difficult time, and I think it's good times ahead hopefully now.
Yeah, just one other point on the changes that Pep's made, in that we've covered Grealish, and Michael Brown's going to cover Grealish in greater depth as well at Pitchside. But Jeremy Doku rotating out after a really impressive performance in midweek. But Savinho coming in, he presents a similar but slightly different threat. What do you think he'll offer today?
Again, I wouldn't be surprised if we will see both players operating. So whoever starts, whoever finishes the game, I think there will be a difference there, because they can alternate the threat depending on the weakness that they feel that they can exploit against Palace. So again, would they go there and play 2 wide players? It's a difficult ground to go to and be open and expansive without earning the right to play. So we have 1 outside, 1 inside. I think is natural.
Yeah, you both spent time at Crystal Palace. Why is it so difficult to go to Selhurst?
I mean, they've got a really good fan base who are very vociferous, get behind the team, and it's an old-style stadium, quite close to the pitch and everything. So when they really get going and get behind the team, they make it quite an intimidating atmosphere, and it spurs obviously their team on. It will spur Crystal Palace on and push them forward for sure. But like I said, I covered the game. We just saw some goals from it from the away fixture there last season, and we managed to turn around after a difficult start and come away with a good win. So I'm sure we can do the same again today.
Yeah, I love going to Selhurst Park. I mean, it reminds me a bit of the old main road, in that you're walking down the back streets and all of a sudden you go, oh, there's a football stadium there. It's tucked in, I think, next to a Sainsbury's.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
It's one of those real old-fashioned football grounds that's just plonked right in the heart of it.
It is. I think for visiting teams, when you're travelling there, it's not an easy trip from wherever you stay, whatever hotel you stay. It's the journey in is like it builds up, and it's not until you get there that you start thinking, this could be a difficult game. This it has that feeling. I've been there as a player, as a coach, and you never get an easy game there. You have to, everything you get, you earn at Crystal Palace.
The traffic's always a nightmare. I remember going in there with Fulham when Tigana was manager, and we couldn't get the bus anywhere near the ground. We had to get off and walk the last mile. all the
Through the locals?
Through the locals, yeah. Through the crowd.
Isn't that Kit Symons, I think it is?
I
think I'm more worried about Louis Saha, to be honest. But,
Anyone try and nobble him on the walk?
Yeah, good luck with that as well.
It's true. Strong guy. Right, OK, we need to get our first flavour of Selhurst Park, plonked in the heart of South London down there. And hopefully, fingers crossed, Michael Brown and our Nat have found their way to Pitchside.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Selhurst Park. I'm joined by Michael Brown, and we have been sheltering inside the press room ever since we got here. But actually, surprisingly, it's all right down here, isn't it?
It's not too bad. It's the wind tunnel down on the left-hand side. Ada's concerned, Ada's a little bit worried, but out here already, I think it's a great condition, as long as that wind stays, but the pitch looks perfect, and should be a really entertaining afternoon.
Yeah, so no wind, no rain right now inside Selhurst Park, but who knows, come 3 o'clock, come 4 o'clock, it might be awful inside here. So we have the team news. Brownie and I very, very interested in seeing that team today. For me, Brownie, immediately the first name that jumped out was, I am so thrilled to see Kevin De Bruyne starting again. I wondered, given the fact that he hasn't played in a while and he started midweek, if we might have seen some managed minutes, I would have called it. But he starts. How important and how influential is that for City?
I think you know I'm slightly biased when it comes to Kevin De Bruyne, so I'm always delighted because I feel like when he's on the pitch, something happens. The ability to bring something from nothing, the assists that he gets, the forward passes, the area that he goes, when he drives on that back foot and goes into space. Fabulous player. We've got to protect him. We've got to look after him. So not really surprised, but it's again just management of how many minutes he can play. So yeah, great addition. But there's quite a few changes, and we look really the injuries have really come to a head, haven't they, really, with all the youngsters on the bench, which is fantastic opportunity for them. But yeah, a few changes for Pep.
Yeah, so on the bench, first team outfield players, it's just Jack Grealish and Jeremy Doku. Interesting, they're talking about managing minutes and having Jack Grealish on the bench. He had a real standout performance against Nottingham Forest. He's had some incredible plaudits this week, but he's on the bench today. Is that managing minutes?
Do you know what? It was nice to see him smiling again. Jack just wants to enjoy his football. He wants to be loved. He wants to play football wherever he possibly can. He will be disappointed about not playing and starting today, because he had that role in the middle of the pitch, done well, he was free, he was running at people, but again he's been injured, he's missed time, so we've got a game coming in the middle of the week, and I'm sure he'll get on. So I think it's about managing the whole squad, and it's risk to reward for the medical team, for Pep, and obviously for the players to look after him and make sure they can contribute for more weeks.
Yeah, very much, considering that we've got an away trip to Juventus midweek in a Champions League game that is, I'm going to call it a must-win now, and then we've got the Manchester Derby next weekend as well. So yes, with the amount of injuries, I saw you kind of go, oh, okay. So in terms of that midfield then, we mentioned Kevin De Bruyne plays, Ilkay Gündoğan plays as well, Matheus Nunes back in the team. Where are you liking seeing Matheus Nunes play? Because he's really played well out when he's been out on that left.
It's fantastic, isn't it? The pre-match chat. Where's Pep? What's he going to do? We always talk.
Who's playing
Nunes, he's played on that left-hand side. He's done really well. I think what we've seen in the week, it was almost like three narrow advanced midfielders. Bernardo come in and out, and the other two, we had Kevin, we had Jack, and we had Doku almost as that lone wide player, looking for 1v1s, trying to get him space wherever he possibly can. But Savinho comes in. Well, the Nunes is happy to either go on that left-hand side. We could do it the other way with Savinho, so he can narrow off from that side, or he can start naturally in that middle area. So I think either or. I think he's done much better. He's growing in confidence in his City shirt. Slow starter, obviously, we expected more from him, but it's great to see him getting more minutes. So either or, but I think it's a smart move, really.
And then the energetic Bernardo Silva and Savinho as well are going to bring the legs today.
Well, they are. Bernardo can play everywhere. I think you see what he brings. In the middle of the pitch, he can go. I think the quick talking point on team news is Kyle Walker going to play centre-back, or is he going to play right-back? So
come on, he's probably told you.
Either or.
Has he not texted you?
It's flexibility.
Did he not phone you and tell you?
Flexibility, Natalie. Flexibility. All around the squad. And Rico can do it as well, can't he? Rico can go right, left, and we'll just see what happens, won't we?
Oh, you're a good friend. You're a good friend, Michael Brown. So that is our thoughts. I think it's time to go back to the studio. So we're gonna run back inside. We're gonna run back inside just now, in case we're not going to tempt any wind or rain. So back over to you guys in the studio.
I think that's Nat and Michael Brown 1, Storm Darren 0. They got out, they dodged the rain, they dodged the wind. I love that jacket that Nat's wearing as well. Very on brand with the Man City blue. OK, so let's rattle through the Crystal Palace team. Off the back of a big win in midweek against Ipswich, 1-0. Jean-Philippe Mateta scored the goal. You can see down the bottom, he is up front, and as you would expect, in goal, a former player who used to call Manchester his home, Dean Henderson, the former United goalkeeper. They're playing a 3-4-2-1 formation, so the back three today, Chalobah, Lacroix and Mark Gahey in midfield. The wing-backs will be Tyrick Mitchell on the left. On the right will be Daniel Munoz, and in the middle, Jefferson Lerma and Will Hughes. In front of them, adding the creative spice, Eberi Eza and Ismail Assar. Behind the man that gets all the goals is Jean-Philippe Mateta. So there you go. That is how the teams are lining up. I just wonder if a 3-4-2-1 formation, what are Manchester City going to come up against there? You don't see that too often in the Premier League.
No, they've got. I mean, the attacking threat of Mateta, and then with the two boys behind him who are both like very talented players. So they'll look to cause problems in that area, and the wing backs do get forward. I mean, Munoz scored the other week, the equalising goal for Palace late on, and he had a really good chance earlier that he should have scored from. So they'll be getting whipped from the wing backs flying forward as well, especially down the right hand side, I would imagine. But like I say, that the central area with the sort of 2 10s playing behind will look to cause problems there.
Add creativity for that man there, Mateta. He's a real pest. He's a real thorn in Manchester City's side. He scored in his last 2 games against City, and he is a man in form after the goal he scored against Ipswich, Keith?
Yeah, well, the manager likes to play 3-4-3 in possession. So then you can offer 3 people with support out of possession, play like a boxing midfield that shifts across. The secret to disabling that is their wing backs. If you can dominate possession and force their wing backs back, it stops their counter-attack from being down the sides. It's more so through the middle of the pitch, which is easier, you'd say, to defend. You'd rather have the ball there coming at you than being down the side and being turned. So the boxing midfield then is always, as soon as you win possession, you've got a simple pass to get out. So again, it's going to be difficult I can see it being a game of how quickly City can get dominance of the football in Palace's half.
Yeah, I covered Glasner's Palace when he first got the job last year. He replaced Roy Hodgson, and I was really impressed. They started so well under him, and what I noticed is that when they didn't have the ball, it was as you would expect with the 3-4, and the wing-backs would come back deeper. But when they got the ball, they would look to play cross-field balls, and it would almost become an attacking 5. Yeah. The wing-backs pushing right up with that front 3 as well. Yeah. Can they afford to commit that against a team like Manchester City?
Well, it'd be interesting to see, because, I mean, they're not in particularly good form, Palace. I mean, City, obviously, hopefully now we've turned the corner, certainly that win midweek, but they'll be thinking this is not maybe the City of old. So we've got an opportunity here to do something. They need to start getting points on the board as well. So I think this is a game they've got to be quite positive in Crystal Palace and go out to win it, and I'm sure they will set up to do that. But also, we all know if you go too expansive and gun-ho against Man City, you will get punished. And like I say, certainly that win midweek has given a lot of confidence back, I think, to the boys in blue.
Yeah, a lot of confidence. The one point I would look at is their goals scored, 12 all season. Only Southampton have scored fewer than Crystal Palace have managed this season, which seems strange when you think they've got Eze, who's creative. They've got Mateta, who scores goals, and then on the bench, who's not got a goal for them in the Premier League, Eddie Nketiah. The goals just aren't coming for them. No,
and it's difficult sometimes that you don't get the rewards that sometimes your play deserves. But again, I think a lot of it goes out the window when you're playing against the champions. When you're playing against Man City now, it's a case of will they get opportunities? They will get half chances in the game. If they take them, it can change the whole format of the game, and that's the thin line that the Premier League is about at the minute. As in, you've got to take those chances when you get them, because it's very difficult to say, right, we're going to play counter-attack and then we're going to score on the counter-attack, which, as I say, defending against City isn't easy, because it's total concentration. It's just not just a little bit of pressure for 2, 3, 4 minutes. It's one of those, City get dominance of the ball in your half, and you need to be switched on. And next thing, there's an interception pass, and they say, oh, now it's our time to attack. And it's one of those, sometimes you're that deep, to make the effort to get up there, it's one of those, you've got to be very selective. But then when you do get opportunities, if you're going to be successful, you've got to take them.
Yeah,
I watched Palace early part of the season against West Ham at Selhurst, and first half Palace played really well, had by far the better of the chances, didn't take any of these chances and ended up losing the game. And that's, I think, been pretty much a big story of their season. Really, they're getting opportunities, they are creating, but they're not taking them enough. I'd imagine, I've not checked it, but I think their XG would be quite low in games this season, because like I say, I think they are creating chances, but just not taking them when they need to. So.
And you look at who they lost in the summer as well. Michael Olise went for big money to Bayern Munich. He's absolutely tearing up the Bundesliga as well. They got a lot of money for him, but ultimately the replacements maybe haven't bedded in. Does it show how much creativity he was offering them last season?
It's one of those, he took his chances. And again, I think if you have a look at the bottom half of the division, the Premier League as it is, Southampton, Wolves, they've had good performances and they've had opportunities in games, but they haven't taken them, and they're paying the price for it. And again, people say about Haaland, well, all he does is score goals. Well, that's what centre forwards do. They score goals. There's lots of teams now that all they need is a centre forward that scores goals.
The rarest thing in football.
Oh, not that easy to come by.
No, they're not. So picked out a couple of other stats. So their defence is pretty tight. They've only conceded 18 in 14 games. For reference, City have conceded one more, 19. So that's not too bad. But their games are not thrill a minute. Across the league, they've had the fewest goals in their games of any team. So what sort of game can City expect today, Kit?
Well, just from that, you can imagine Palace will try and make it as cagey and as difficult as possible. You know, like I say, we can't see them going open and expansive against Man City because they will get punished and hurt then. And they're not that type of team. You know, they finished last season absolutely flying and didn't want the season to finish. But this season they've just not found their rhythm at all, Crystal Palace. And there'll be a lot of frustration down there, I'm sure. But I think they'll make it a tight game today. I can't see it being a particularly high scoring just from their record this season. You know, they've got decent enough defence to make it difficult for City. But yeah, I think they've got to try and start getting points on the board now. And this will be a game they'll be thinking a home fixture. City not in the greatest of form. Certainly we could get something here. But again, City will fancy their chances too.
Certainly will. Looking at the Premier League table, Crystal Palace's win over Ipswich in midweek keeps them outside of the relegation zone. 3 points above Ipswich, who are top of the bottom at the moment. City currently 4th in the Premier League and can close the gap on Liverpool, who've had their match abandoned today, cancelled because of Storm Dara. Could close that to 6 points with a win. I want to take us back to Selhurst Park now, because a couple of weeks ago, the Brighton game, one of the finds of the season. We had a little bit of pitchside punditry from Glenn Murray, and I'm delighted to say that Nat and Michael Brown have found him once again. Take it away, guys.
Welcome back to Selhurst Park, where I absolutely and utterly jinxed us all when we were doing the the City team news. I told you that we were in a spot where there was no wind or no rain. Well, we've been moved round the other end of the pitch, and it is an absolute and utter wind tunnel here. But we had a smile brought to our faces because we've been joined here by Palace legend Glenn Murray. And I know it's Palace legend because the kids down here, Glenn, are screaming, "You're a legend!"
He brought a load of sweets out, that's what happened.
Rumours like that, that's not fair, Brownie. No, it's nice to be back. Always nice to come back to Selhurst Park.
Thank you very much for coming down to join us today. So we've seen the Palace team news. Love to get your thoughts on Palace's sort of general form this season, because last season I loved watching Palace. They were a really exciting team to watch. You thought every time you played them it was going to be a difficult game. The season started difficult for Palace. Only 2 wins so far this season, but the last 6 games the form certainly looked like it's turning around. Good result against Newcastle, good result against Ipswich.
Yeah, I mean, turning around, I don't think the fans will be happy with it just yet, especially like you alluded to the back end of last season when Oliver Glasner came in. They haven't quite hit those heights again this season. Listen, it's a struggle for Palace. They've only scored 4 goals here so far this season. Mateta, though, has been in fine form under Glasner. He's got 14 in 14 home games, so they'll be looking towards him. But I think it's down to Eberechi Eze that they really need him to step up to that mantle that Wilfried Zaha left a couple of years ago, and just drag this squad along, because he's the one that has got the quality in that final third to create.
I was at the game last weekend against Newcastle. First half, they really struggled. There's something, regarding lack of goals. They buy in Nketiah, but they can't get him at the top of the pitch to go and join Mateta. Sarr and obviously Eze are really important.
Yeah, they can't quite find that balance at the minute. Obviously, Eddie's an out-and-out 9, and it doesn't seem like Oliver wants to play a 4-4-2 effectively, or 2 up front at the moment. So finding that right balance to get Eddie in, which I think is a good sign, and I think in the long term it will turn out to be a positive move. And yeah, you're right. I think Ismaila Sarr's been a good signing. Needs more consistency to his game. He's a really good player, and he stretches it naturally, but sometimes can go missing in games. But like I say, it all goes back to Eze for me. He's the one that needs to really drag this group along and sort of stand up and be counted.
What do they do here against City? How do they approach it? Well, no Wharton, obviously big miss. He's the number 6 that everyone talks about to dictate play. Obviously Hughes does well. But what do you think they're going to be approaching this game?
What do I think, or what would I like? I would like to see them have a go at City, because I don't think you're ever going to meet City in a worse position. I think everyone knows that. Obviously, City got a win last game. What surprised me is if they get another clean sheet, they'll be the first back-to-back clean sheet in the Premier League this season. But yeah, I think when you're at home against City and they're in the form they're in, today's the perfect chance to have a go. Whether I think they will, I think Oliver Glasner will be a little bit more cautious.
We've took a gamble having him back on the show, because Brighton's second half didn't go so well when Glenn come on. So let's hopefully for a different outcome. I might not be asking him back again, so we'll see.
Well, he's dropping some stat bombs. I'm absolutely loving those.
Kevin De Bruyne is starting today, isn't he? And he hasn't. They've won every game he's started. So that's a big well, it's a big plus for City. It's a disappointment for Palace, but I think he gives City just that level of control. I think a few of their games recently have been almost basketball games, end to end, people breaking on them, something that you don't see very much with Pep teams. It's much more controlled, and I think with Kevin he offers that.
That's what we opened with De Bruyne, wasn't it? The first question, De Bruyne
exactly
was playing
said,
again,
yeah.
and I was like, I'd just love to see him, Glenn, because he can do everything. As a striker, as a forward player, it must be amazing that you just know you're off already because he finds you.
Well, I just think even with Erling Haaland, I think when Kevin's playing, you just see a different Erling because he knows he can make those forward runs, and they might only be 20 yards, but he makes them with more explosiveness because he knows Kevin's first thought is, can I get the ball out of my feet? Where's Erling? Can I make a defence splitting pass? Can I affect this game in a positive manner? And that is ultimately what City have missed for a bit recently.
Yeah, because no goals for Erling Haaland in his last 2 Premier League games as well, which obviously by his high standard is a crisis.
Well, I find it very hard to criticise Erling Haaland.
Just leave it as that.
He's exceptional. I mean, everyone gets on him, but this is ultimately his personal standards. He's on another level to everyone else, but I'm sure he'll be in there this afternoon and he'll be delighted that Kevin's
The strikers make all the difference, don't they, Glenn?
Always Brownie. It's not the tough tackling midfielders.
It's all about the strikers. Well, it very well could be all about the strikers today. Obviously, Mateta at one end, Erling Haaland at the other end. We will see. Glenn, thank you very much for coming down and joining us. Always a pleasure. Now, Glenn, I don't know if you remember, well, you've got no reason to remember this game, but I certainly do, because I was 13 years old in 1996 and I'd been supporting City for 3 years. And it was all right. It was all right. It was just before times started to get very, very tough. And there's a very, very famous game that happened at the end of the 96 season. City were taking on Liverpool at Main Road. You were playing.
Yep.
Curle was playing.
I'm
Kit
sure
Symons was
waiting.
playing.
I'm sure Curly's desperately waiting in the studio to talk about this one, isn't he?
All 3 of you were playing, and this is the myth that surrounds this game, Brownie. Allegedly, there was somebody in the crowd. Now, City needed a result to stay up, Glenn, but allegedly, somebody in the crowd with a wireless radio fed back to the players that the other team that we were against were losing. So you thought we only needed a draw. Is that?
Don't look at me. I didn't think that. I think Stevie Lomas was in the corner with his foot on the ball, thinking we'll waste time. Then all of a sudden something changed, and we had to then go and score a goal. Extremely embarrassing moment.
So they thought they needed a draw, and so they were playing.
We went down on goal difference, so not good.
Yes, we didn't. And then all of a sudden, someone was like, "We need to score. We need to score." Well,
point was it?
so we're going to hear a little bit more from the perspective of the studio. Michael Brown takes no blame whatsoever in that game.
Brownie dodging the blame. It doesn't sound like him, does it? You remember that game, guys?
Yep.
Yeah, painful memories, really.
Painful. I remember Quinny running up and down the sideline, wasn't
Yeah.
Yeah, do you? Well, it's interesting you say that because we've actually dredged up some Manchester City archive footage. Now, I believe the production team have been working really hard. They've had to add colour to this footage. It's that old. Keith Curle, Kit Symons were on the pitch. It tells you when it was. So this is back in 1996. We're going to see some pictures of it. Hopefully you guys can talk us over it because as Nat was explaining, you guys at the time on the field thinking that a 1-1 draw would get it done. Kit, talk us through this moment because this is a key moment in your career.
Yeah, well, it could have been. This was...
What a hit!
This was the goals. David James in goal as well, by the way, for Liverpool, just pointing that out. I do remind him of that every now and then.
The MatchDay Live family.
But that was to make it 2-2. So at the time, again, we were told that a draw was going to keep us up. And so I'm thinking I've scored the equaliser.
That's Erling Haaland, that.
That's
Predator.
It's not a bad finish, is it? I think I had my eyes shut, to be honest, but it went in anyway.
And then you've gone for the sort of half Cantona collar. It's sort of on one side, I've gone full collar up, on the other side, you folded down. Now, this is the time wasting in the corner. So you're right. Michael Brown was saying Steve Lomas. It starts with Uwe Rosler. Is that Rosler, 28?
Yeah.
Wins Alan Ball with a flat cap. You don't see enough flat caps in the Premier League anymore, do you? And this is Niall Quinn, who looks like the man from Del Monte. Right? What's he wearing that for? He was playing in that game. He's been subbed off and he's obviously gone, I need my full man at CNA outfit.
He's out celebrating.
And this is full time. This is you two needing a goal, just having a little pass around at the back. And then we can show you the table now. I think Michael Brown mentioned it. Went down on goal difference at the end of that season. So a 2-2 draw with Liverpool that you guys thought at the time.
But even at the end of that, we waited in a tunnel because I think it was Southampton and Coventry were on the same points as us.
And there, look how close that is. Goal difference, a single goal.
And one of them kicked off late. So we had to wait in a tunnel 15 minutes, not knowing our fate still, whether we're up or down.
Who was the other, remember we had Georgie Kincaid, who was the other Georgian lad that we had?
Kabalashvili?
He had 2 great chances in that game inside the 6-yard box.
So you're putting all the blame on Kabalashvili?
Well, him and Brownie, yeah.
And Brownie.
Yeah, and Brownie.
Although he'd be in the stadium going, nothing to do with me,
Nothing to do with me.
Nothing to do with me. You ought to ask the defenders who let 2 goals in, these 2 boys. Well, look, it's good that we can laugh about it now. I mean, it's a good few years ago. They've added the colour to the footage, as I said. And City obviously went down and then down again, but then the resurgence came. We always talk about Weave's efforts in that penalty shootout in 1999. It's all built back to where we are now in this wonderful studio next to these 2 wonderful stadiums, and Manchester City with their 6 Premier League titles in the last 7 years. You go back to like the genesis of it all, really. It's funny.
So if we hadn't taken them down, they couldn't come up like this. That's
sort of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's sort of what I'm saying.
Down to us, really.
Yeah.
Fine, Kelly.
Well done, boys. Well done. What does it feel like now that you're obviously, let's say, a little bit wiser these days? Time has passed under the bridge. When you see that old footage of you guys in your peak, really.
I mean that was a painful memory, like I say, because of the outcome of what happened. But it's.
But just seeing, I mean, when I see footage of like old pictures of me when I was at university, like handsome devil, and look now. But when you see it,
I mean, overall, it was
football,
like I say, we had some difficult times. But overall, brilliant experience, and just playing football at that level was incredible back then. And some of the stuff that went with it as well, the camaraderie in the change rooms, things like that. It was brilliant times, and it's something I look back on very, very fondly. So yeah, it's nice to see them pictures.
Keith?
Yeah, well, for me in particular, probably. I came to City when I think I was 25 or 26, but it was my big opportunity to go and play for a big club. I played for both the Bristol teams, then Reading, Torquay thrown in that as well. Then I went to Wimbledon, got a good understanding of the First Division, Premier League as it is now, then being competitive in that division, and then I had an opportunity to come to Man City, and it was one of those. That was my stepping stone to say that you think like now I'm playing and being part of the best league.
I have to say, Keith, I say this to you every time I see you. You still look like you could put your kit on and go and play. You look better than you did in that footage.
Cheers.
Just one final point I want to make on that wonderful old footage. Different stadiums, obviously, the Etihad, Main Road. You've worked in the Etihad here for us now on Man City TV, and you both played at Main Road. How do the 2 compare?
I mean, yeah, so very, very different. I mean, I love Main Road, I've got to say. I really like Main Road, the atmosphere, and the fact that obviously the Kippax dwarfed all the other stands. It was a bit special. It was unusual. It wasn't your normal stand. I mean, as beautiful as the stadium are now, all the new stadium are nice, really, So, but the Etihad's incredible. I love coming to work here. I love coming to just watch games. So it's brilliant. But I love Main Road, I've got to say.
Yeah, fond memories there.
Yeah, I remember the big steps. Going into the reception. Again, you've got to think, I came from Wimbledon that was operated out of Porto cabins in the back end of a car park. Still a great football club with good morals of how to survive in the Premier League at the time. Then you come to Man City and it's one of those, it's chalk and cheese, playing in the same division, but you're playing a team that knew how to do things right. And again, like Kit said, I can still remember my first game, my first home debut, standing in the tunnel, and you can see the Kippax. And then when you're going out, and then the Blue Moon song starts, and it's one of those. People say it's the hairs on the back of your neck, on your arms stand up, and it's deafening. And it's one of those.
Is that genuine feeling you get?
Yeah. And then you go out and you're looking at the Kippax, and it just kept on going up, and you're like, this is a stadium.
Amazing. Just one final point on the footage that we've seen. I've sort of been a bit unkind to Niall Quinn, haven't I, with the clothes that he was wearing. Was he fashionable for the time?
No.
No? Oh, good, fair enough.
No.
Sorry, Niall, if you are watching, we still love you, baby.
He used to wear cravats quite often, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah, Quinny, yeah, he liked a cravat, yeah.
Quinny in a cravat. Right, I'll tell you what, we want to just take ourselves back into Selhurst Park. I think we've got some pictures of Stefan Ortega warming up ahead of this one. So Pep has obviously decided to stick with Ortega. I don't think he was ever going to make a change after a clean sheet victory. But what have you made of his couple of games since he took the gloves from Ederson?
Solid, consistent, reliable, dependable, and again, good distribution, good hands. He made a couple of great saves as well last week. He's earned the right to keep the jersey.
Yeah. You go along with that, Kit?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not a bad situation to be in to have
nice, actually,
two great keepers, and you know, you could almost toss a coin really. But like I say, he's waited his turn, Ortega. So it now looks like it's come. So it's down to him to keep the jersey.
Yeah, he's got the gloves. His challenge is to keep the gloves. Ederson will keep him honest, and Scott Carson will keep warming him up. Although they've gone from just behind me. Now I think we want to hear from one of the players now before today's big game away at Crystal Palace in the Premier League. Ilkay Gündoğan has been speaking to us in midweek ahead of this one, and how he's delighted that sticky patch, shall we call it, is now behind City.
Of course, we had games, periods where, I don't know, we dropped points, and a few points in a row, and had to overcome, these kind of difficulties. I don't know if there's a similar situation that you can compare to what's happening right now. Maybe there is, I don't know. We have to stay and stick together right now, because it's not a question of quality at the end of the day. I think we have showed in the last few years that this team always is full of quality players. I think the mind obviously plays now a big role, and we can doubt ourselves, but we have to use that, in terms of getting on the training pitch, and transfer that doubt into work, into desire, into determination to go again, and make things better, because that's the only way out of the situation. And we have to believe in that, and we have to convince each other first of all that we will get there. And I feel like once that positive energy, is created, there is no way around it, that things are gonna be better again.
No way around it, that things are going to be better again. A rallying cry from Ilkay Gündoğan as Manchester City get themselves back to winning ways in midweek. That 3-0 win over Nottingham Forest, and we can't discolour it in any other way. We can't hide it. There was a pretty dreadful November, one to forget for this club, with the defeats to Bournemouth, Brighton and Hove Albion, Tottenham Hotspur and Liverpool. But back to winning ways and fourth in the table. Not where City want to be, we all know that. But Liverpool was supposed to play Everton today, Goodison Park, and Storm Dara had its say. So that game has been abandoned because of the weather. And it all means, as I've already touched on, that if City can get the job done today, what looked like an awful, awful situation just maybe a week, 10 days ago, they could be within 6 of the leaders today, Kit.
It is amazing how quickly it can turn around, and just that one result. And then Liverpool dropping points as well midweek. Suddenly everything's looking a lot better now. And people, hang on a minute, I think probably prior, sort of last weekends, people were saying that's it, that's the title done. Now I think a lot of people go, hang on, this happens. Suddenly things could fall into place quite easily. City are always stronger second half of the season anyway. That's just always seems to happen. So yeah, I think people are starting to have a little think about it again now.
City not used to being in this position, Keith. Well, not over the past few seasons anyway. They've been front runners, they've been leaders, they've won the title in every way really. But now all of a sudden they find themselves in this position where they have to chase. Do you think this is a situation that Pep and the boys will relish?
I was listening to Gündoğan there with interest, because I think we've probably both been in changing rooms where you've gone on losing runs, and there's always been different mindsets and different mentalities about how to get out of it, or you need more team camaraderie. Get yourself out and go and have a drink together. Sometimes that can work. The things that you said there about it will change. You can't just wait if things are going wrong. You can't just wait. The biggest thing that I find is honesty and demands that you put on each other on the training ground, and that's not the manager, not the coaching staff. That's the players. The demands that you put on each other, because if something's wrong and somebody's doing something wrong, you've got to tell them, and the honesty is accepting it. because someone's having a go at you or telling you what to do because it's the right thing to do. And it's one of those, if you get players that can accept it and accept getting a bollocking and being told what to do, it's one of those, it takes it on board.
Yeah, you said rollicking, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Rollicking.
Yeah. Obviously.
Apologies if anyone is at all offended by the word rollicking. It was rollicking. Where does that culture come from, though? Is that the players that sort of bring about that culture themselves, or is it from the coach instilling it in the players?
You have a look at the change room there. You've got a changing room of winners, players that have consistently won. So it's got to come from within. It's got to come from the players within and reinforced by the coaching staff, by the management. Like we all know, Pep sets very high standards. And again, I think it was one of the interviews I saw Pep. The outcome was immaterial, but he wanted people to help the person on the ball to make angles. He would give you, he'd have a go at you if he didn't see you making those angles because you're hiding, you're taking an easy option. He wanted you to be available to help that person on the ball. What you did with the ball became secondary because he believed in you and trusted you that you would find the next good pass.
I mean, also, we're talking about Rico earlier on in the show and about his development and his learning. This tough spell that City have gone through, he would have learnt so much from that, and as all the players would have done. And you sort of look around the change room, like Curly saying, you're looking, who's up for this, who's still... It's easy when things are going brilliantly, and which City are used to. Let's be fair about it. Winning everything, it's great. It's you really find out about people when you have these little tough spells. And the fact it's been hard, and like I say, Rico as a young player developing in this team would have learnt so much from that, I'm sure. But the fact they've come through it, hopefully that was the end of it. Now after that big win midweek, yeah. You think you go on from there now, and they'll be stronger and better for it. And it's amazing how sometimes these things that seem terrible at the time, occasionally or sometimes can be the best thing that ever happened, and you go from strength to strength after it.
Yeah,
by getting through it.
Win or learn. That's got to be the mantra, isn't it? Especially for these young players around it. I think you're right. So let's just focus on Liverpool and the fact that they've had this postponement today. They'll have to find somewhere on an already congested calendar with the expanded Champions League already. We know they're going to be competing in the FA Cup from next month as well. Who knows where they'll slot this game? What impact do you think that might have on that individual game? The fact that it wasn't being played today, it's now got to be put somewhere else in the diary. We don't know how many points Liverpool have got at the same stage of the season as everybody else.
Yeah, I think they certainly would have rather the game played and get it done, and from their point of view get a win or whatever, but of course they would, but it's not. So, it could, and it's still a derby game for them, so it's a big game, and
the last ever at Goodison Park, there's a lot on it.
Exactly, so it's going to be... And the fact I think it's been postponed and will then be rearranged, I think that will make it an even bigger occasion come the actual match day. So, hopefully it'll be more pressure on Liverpool, certainly, and it might be a stage where they need to drop points from a City perspective, and it could well cause them problems. Yeah,
just wondering about the shape of the game. It won't be a Saturday 3 o'clock, a rearranged game. It will never be. It's almost certainly going to be a midweek night game under the lights. The home fans at Goodison will love that, won't they? Rather than a Saturday 3 o'clock, under the lights, cold, maybe still a December and a winter night.
Yeah, definitely.
Great occasion.
Yeah, great occasion. Like it being a derby, anything can happen as well. It's the mindset and the mentality of being comfortable and being in front. And then you draw a game like they did last week. If the game called off, if they go and draw another game next week, then the pressure starts right, because then you start looking behind you rather than thinking like we're just going to win this game. This game. You start dropping a few points, or other teams start catching you up. Then it's a different type of pressure when you're
three-pronged as well, Keith, as well. So if we're talking about it from a City point of view, but there's Arsenal, there's Chelsea, there's people snapping at their heels.
Oh, they all want them to get beat and drop points.
I think also because it will be probably a fixture on its own, because it won't be a regular match week. So all the focus will be on that one game, rather than everyone else is playing that weekend as well. All the focus is going to be on that game and make it even bigger, even more pressure.
Yeah, it's a great point. Now, both of you have played and coached and managed. You must have been in a situation where you turn up at the ground, maybe as an away team, and then they go, sorry, lads, game's off, bad weather or whatever. What did the club do? How did they react to that? What do you do with that day? Everyone go home, go and have a party, go and have a drink, get on the golf course, what?
I've had different ones. Sometimes you go back to your club and actually train, do a light training session, but generally they just say, right, forget that, in tomorrow, and so it puts your whole schedule then out, how you'd planned to prepare them for the next lot of games. So changes all that, but yeah, generally just go get yourself home.
Yeah, so they've got midweek Champions League to come as well. So we don't know what it means, but ultimately it just means that the league table is going to be a bit skewed until that game gets done. Kevin is in the starting lineup, goal and an assist against Nottingham Forest in midweek. Pep Guardiola said he'd love him to be 23, give him a 10-year contract and pin the future on him, but he's not, and you can't do that. He's 33 years old and he is fit enough to start today, which is a huge, huge bonus for Manchester City as they go looking for all 3 points today at Selhurst Park away against Crystal Palace, who've only got their 2 wins all season. And look, he looks hungry, doesn't he?
He certainly does, yeah. I mean, for a 33-year-old, he's still got good pace
hair.
and
Great hair.
Great barnet. He's got a fantastic barnet for a 33-year-old, yeah, certainly. So, yeah, no grey coming through yet. He's doing all right. But no, he's still a fabulous player. I mean, again, going back to midweek, the way he made space for his goal was incredible. He sort of backpedals towards Gibbs White as if to say he's marking me, and then just comes inside and suddenly gets the ball in acres of space on the edge of the ball. He's like, how's that possible? But he's so clever with his movement. And like I say, he'll know his body better than anyone, and he'll just have to manage it now at this stage to still be at the top of his game when he does play.
The other thing to explore, Keith, is what will it mean to the other players? Just looking to their right, looking to their left and going, oh, Kevin's alongside me. Specifically Haaland, who hasn't been scoring as regularly as he might like.
I was just going to say that he's got a presence as an individual. You don't get many players in the modern day now. They've got a presence, and him being in the starting lineup will have an effect on Crystal Palace as well. And again, for Erling Haaland, I think he will go back. I think I've been watching him. Some of the you know when the ball's in wide areas, and I'm probably watching it more so because as being a defender, thinking like, how would I mark him? How would I mark him? There wasn't a lot of movement from Erling when the ball's in wide areas. But then as soon as you go from the wide area and you come slightly inside and you give the ball to Kevin De Bruyne, you watch Haaland. Haaland will be making his bid because he knows that he can put the ball on the sixpence and where he wants it.
Yeah, I'll be keeping a very keen eye on the relationship between the two of them today. So De Bruyne in the midfield or behind the attack with Matheus Nunes, Savinho and Bernardo Silva today. Rico Lewis and Gündoğan holding the midfield together. Have you guys got your Christmas dinners all sorted? You know what you're having?
Absolutely.
Yeah? What are you going for?
Turkey, yeah.
Turkey,
Nice
traditional.
turkey. Yeah,
Keith?
Turkey and beef.
3 meats.
Turkey and.
Oh, I thought you said turkey. I thought you said turkey, ham, beef. Was that right? All round to
I was
Curle.
on that one as well.
Turkey, ham, beef, turkey and beef. Just the 2 meats. Okay. I went lamb last Christmas. It didn't go down very well. No, the mother-in-law wasn't happy. No. She doesn't watch this, so I can say that. Now, I'll tell you what, we're going to find out about one of our City favourites and what they're doing for Christmas dinner. Jack Grealish, like to find out what he has?
Yes, please.
Why don't we?
Carrots. I like carrots, but not that much to be like. No, I'd have them on my Sunday dinner, but I don't want them. Mashed potatoes. See, this one's debatable because some people don't like mash, do they? And I love mash, you know what I mean? Let's go 5, but I don't know if it's Yorkies, boom, 1. I have 100 of them, stuffing. I have 200 of them. Turkey, obviously you got to have a turkey in it because sprouts, you know what they say about sprouts? No, I actually like sprouts. Yeah, I swear that. Oh, pigs in blankets? Nah, they should have went top. Roast is banging, but they need to be done not. Nah, collie cheese, man. That should have went higher. Gravy. Oh, see, I've done this wrong, you know. I should have put carrots at the bottom, but to be fair, everything on there is nice. I don't really dislike anything. There we go.
Nah, collie cheese, man. I can watch that all day. Just Jack Grealish rates his favourite colour of paint. Just watch him do it. It's so good, isn't it? Keith, you got one choice for your top of the spot. I'm not going to go through the whole 10. What's the one thing that has to be there?
Homemade roast potatoes.
Oh, nice. Bit of goose fat on there. Crisp them up.
Yep.
Yeah, not a rookie,
potato
are you?
seasoning as well.
It is all round to Curly's, Kit.
Pigs in blankets for Christmas. So only time they come out really, but they're a must. They're a must.
Yeah, I'm with you. Pigs in Blankets going absolutely to the top of my list. You can find that on X if you want to watch it again. Jack Grealish just rating his Christmas dinner. And I do think he made a mistake with carrots. He went 7. Just stick it at the bottom.
Went too early.
Even if sprouts then have to go 9. We all know sprouts are the worst. Knock it off the list. But, you know, it's a good video. And I could watch him rating things all day. OK, right. It's time to have a look at the World Club Cup draw. Now, this is different to the one that Manchester City won last year in Saudi Arabia. That's been rebranded. That's going to be the Intercontinental Cup or something. Yeah. Still in the cabinet, still has its prestige. But next year, we've got this ever-expanding, first-time Club World Cup, 32 teams, going to be played in the US of A. And we found out yesterday exactly who Manchester City are going to be playing. So they've been drawn in Group G alongside Wydad Casablanca, Al Ain of the United Arab Emirates, and just a small matter of Juventus as well. What was your immediate reaction to that draw, Kit?
Well, I know Juventus. It was my immediate reaction. So that's always going to be a good fixture. Obviously, we've got it coming up this midweek as well. So that'll be nice. But yeah, it's an again. Everything seems to be different. The format for Champions League, format for this as well. So it'll be an interesting one to see. So I'm looking forward to it, certainly.
Yeah, like it said there, I think just the fixture that stands out is the Juventus fixture. Beat them, then you've got an opportunity of progressing, you would think.
Yeah, so top 2 go through. The thing that really caught my eye, so basically Wydad are the most successful club out of Morocco. They won their most recent African Champions League a couple of years ago, 2022. Al Ain from Abu Dhabi, they're the reigning Asian Champions League winners. And Juventus, they're Juventus, we all know about them. But Group H goes on to play... Group G goes on to play Group H, the group below them, which is actually Real Madrid, Al Hilal, which I think is Neymar, Al Hilal, CF Pachuca of Mexico, or RB Salzburg. So basically, you're in a situation where one of Manchester City and Juventus, you would think, if they go advance, may well face Real Madrid in the round of 16. So it's big teams coming.
Yeah, like I say, it's a new format, a different way of doing it, but it's going to be interesting to see how it works, if it does capture the imagination as much as previous way of doing it. So no, it's sort of suck it and see at the moment. So it'll be an interesting one. Yeah,
it's suck it and see is a good phrase as well. And the way that the group has been drawn out, Keith, is that Manchester City will start out against the team from Morocco. Then they'll play the Abu Dhabi-based team. Yeah. And then the third game in the group would be Juventus. So they've got a real good chance to lay down a marker. We're not belittling any team at all, but you would expect, by the weight of the players in the squads, that Manchester City would fancy their chances against the first two. Yeah. Get yourself into a position going into that, which ultimately would be the final game group decider. Yeah, definitely. And again, then does it, so when G plays H, is it the team that finishes top plays the team that finishes second? Winner, runner-up. Yeah, runner-up, winner. Yeah, got you. And then you go back up the groups? I haven't gone that far, Keith. Roast potatoes. I've got all these notes. I've gone through it all. I'm ready, and he asked me for the last 8.
You always rely on Curle to chuck a curveball in there, like, brilliant.
Keith Curve. Absolutely stiffed me. Right, where are we? You've thrown me. So, City going to be playing in Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Orlando for the 3 group games. So nice, close tournament. There's a bit of travel involved there as well. And if City win, they'll play the round of 16 tie in Orlando. And if runners-up, they'll go to Miami. So definitely the round of 16 will be in Florida. Don't ask me, Keith, where the last 8 will be. Roast potatoes. Yeah. I can't tell you the answer. So what are we? We're at 2:42. We're 18 minutes away from kick-off today. Manchester City against Crystal Palace. City have enjoyed their time against Crystal Palace over the last few meetings. Palace haven't bloodied City's nose for a good while, although you could argue that when we covered the game at the Etihad last December, 2-2 draw, it was pretty bloody because City thought they were over the line. 2-0 up. They drew 2-2, but there's been loads of fantastic moments from this fixture in recent memory, not least Erling Haaland's first ever Premier League hat-trick. Let's have a reminder of some of the best of them.
Livajevic steps up to take the penalty. And it's saved!
Now Grealish right in the left wing position. Still Jack Grealish. Can he get across it? Plays it to Rodri. Hit by De Bruyne. 4-1. Kevin De Bruyne. 2 goals, 1 assist. Oh, what a player. A left left-foot prod into the corner of the net, and if there were any lingering doubts about the result, they've now disappeared. Palace 1, City 4. And he's now moved on to 100 City goals.
Well, what can I say? 100 goals for the club, but 267 goal involvements, either creating or scoring in 372 games for the club. Could you ever have dreamt you'd hit these marks?
No, not at all. You know, it just means that I've been here a long time, and there's been many good memories, and it's a nice milestone to score that many for the club, and just means that I've been here a long time.
Steps up to take the penalty, and it's saved! A brilliant stop from Edison Moraes. What is it about Manchester City goalkeepers and penalty saves? Headed towards goal, and in from Gabriel Jesus. Finally, the deadlock is broken by Manchester City off the umpteenth ball into the area. Chance after chance after chance for Pep Guardiola's men. It's Bernardo Silva's delivery in. Gabriel Jesus' finish. Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. Just a few minutes before half-time.
Oh, certainly were some memorable moments there, not least that kit that Gabriel Jesus scored that goal in. I almost need my sunglasses.
It was a bit bright, wasn't it? Yeah.
Good header, though, from Gab Jesus. Also, Kevin De Bruyne not only made his debut against Crystal Palace, but also, as we saw in the footage there, scored his 100th City goal against Crystal Palace, so he enjoys playing against them. We talked about Erling Haaland's hat-trick. And also, only Keith Curle popped up in one of those videos.
Yeah, on my own in the box again. Kit wasn't at the club then.
No.
It was me and Vonky, I think, at the time.
What did you say when we saw that footage? You were questioning someone's actions?
No, where Michael Vonk's positioning was.
Yeah.
He'd be playing alongside me and he's on the edge of the box.
just get back here. Get back here. Excellent. So great memories. Hopefully today at Selhurst Park, Manchester City could create more great memories to take away from an away trip to Crystal Palace. We are now just 14 minutes away from kickoff. Matchday live with me, Chris Latcham, Keith Curle, Kit Symons. It's not the first time this weekend that City are playing against Crystal Palace, though, because the academy team were in FA Youth Cup action last night, and they did really well. They faced the Eagles in the third round of the FA Youth Cup, and I think we could see the best of the action. So this is the goal. It was played at the Joy Stadium, just over the way from where we're sitting right now. And it's lovely, lovely footwork. Dan Batty with the goal. The footwork there, reminiscent of sort of a young Bernardo Silva, the way he just tricked his way into space.
Yeah, really well worked goal, right all the way through actually. Good passing move, overlapping run there, first time pass, yeah, really good. Great skill there. I think keeper would be a bit disappointed with it, went under his body a little bit, but brilliant goal from a City point of view. Yeah,
so City through to the fourth round. They are the reigning champions, the holders from last season. And Jemai Simpson-Poussey, who's in the squad today for City, he was the captain when City beat Leeds in the final last season. So it shows you that you can go on these runs. These kids are not a million miles away if things go their way.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's excellent, the competition. I think the clip that you first showed there, when you saw all the Palace players back behind the ball, being back behind the ball isn't necessarily enough. You've still got jobs to do. And again, they showed there how City can ply their way through a packed defence. So being back behind the ball isn't enough.
No, and it clearly wasn't. Great goal from Dan Batty. Lovely, lovely trickery. So, OK, Just a quick recap on the team. Manchester City have sent out. Pep Guardiola again goes with Stefan Ortega in goal. It's a back three, we think. You never quite know with Pep Guardiola. Gvardiol, Diaz and Kyle Walker. You can see it across the bottom of your screen there. The midfield of Rico Lewis, Ilkay Gündoğan, and then in behind Erling Haaland, Bernardo Silva. Kevin De Bruyne starts again. Savinho, Mateus Nunes, and up front, Erling Haaland, who'll be looking to catch Mo Salah in that race for the Golden Boot. Now, we're going to head back to Selhurst Park right now for the final thoughts pre-match from our co-commentator Michael Brown and Aunt Nat.
Selhurst Park, you see the players are coming off now from their warm-up. Obviously, Brownie knows someone because he always knows someone everywhere we go. Also, just going to give a big shout-out, Brownie, you missed it, but our producer, Jamie, who's behind the camera, just made an incredible stop. The Palace players are warming up there. A ball came flying towards the camera.
I'm a midfielder. I'm seeing it. Midfield vision. I was over there, but I was just scanning around and watching. But
his little stop there.
It's so windy now. The balls are coming from everywhere. Great touch, by the way. He did well, didn't he?
Great touch to Jamie. So, yeah, it is windy. How will that affect the game, do you think?
Yeah, very windy. Just speaking to a lot of the Palace staff and watching the ball now start to swirl up to 50 mile an hour has been mentioned. So it's changed. It's going to be a leveller. I think it's more in Palace favour. The pitch looks good. We're going to have to try and get it down, move it around and be patient at times. Deliveries are going to be key. Yeah. Just hope a bit of luck as well in these type of conditions. You don't want a mistake or a particular ball swirling over the back. So we've got to switch on set pieces. They will deliver it in areas.
Yeah, you could very much see they were practicing right in front of us. The balls that were coming in were going everywhere. In terms of for City, obviously the win against Forest in midweek was so important. We've got to keep the momentum going now today, haven't we?
Yeah, for sure. I think what's important is not going behind first and having something to really go after. So stay in the game, get control is what Pep likes. Can we get an early goal and then something to build the confidence and then be patient. There's no rush then. Once we get the ball, we know how we can hold the game, and it's just it's just someone's trying to run across the camera.
You see my reactions there, by the way.
Yeah, brilliant. Security and everything today, doing everything. But no, it's important just keeping the ball, getting it on the ground. And at times, this is about an away performance. It's been questioned by the team whether we've been, for instance, against Feyenoord, whether we're streetwise. This is going to need a streetwise and experienced performance.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of the team, now you've had a chance to watch them warm up, you've had a little think about it. Are you going to give us any predictions on?
No, we're still waiting. Still waiting to find out. We'll find out very soon. Just wait.
We will.
Yeah. It's a really, really interesting game. This is a sort of a difficult setting, and it's about obviously when you patched up lots of youngsters on the bench. It's about really just game management. I think that's so important in this game today. I think the guys will tell you in the studio as well about of just doing it at the right time, no rush, and don't concede. I think that's important that we sort of don't go behind. And
yeah, especially after Glenn Murray dropped that stat on us about clean sheets as well. That would be nice. In terms of on the bench, I mean, we mentioned before, if we do need to make a change, we've got Jack or we've got Jeremy, which obviously would be an incredible change. But are you expecting to see any of the kids at any point? Would it need to be a result? Would we need to be winning at that point?
Yeah, I think we would expect to see some changes wherever possible. I think with the amount of games and people that are carrying, we might have to see some of the youngsters step up. They've got to come and take that opportunity, take that chance. And this is where, at times something happens. A manager sees something different in a younger player, or even the seniors start to go, he should be with us more often. Yeah. So, listen, big game, looking forward to it. And we're right on kickoff. Should be a real interesting afternoon.
We are right on kickoff here as the rain is coming down. Everybody's trying to walk across us. We've got reactions going everywhere. Let's hope the reactions are like that on the pitch today. Michael Brown, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everybody. Back to the studio. We're going to get up into the stands now and try and stay dry.
Stay dry, Nat. Stay dry. Michael Brown on co-commentary today. They look glum, don't they, the Crystal Palace fans? Cheer up. You're at the football. Come on. This is living. This is living. They can't hear me. He's happier. He's having a good time. That's good to see. So two things to pick up on that. Producer Jamie Blair from Coleraine, first touch. He's not in the squad yet, but City, sign him up. We need to get him in the team. And Michael Brown said, I scanned for everything I saw it, but not everything. He nearly got caught out by a flying ball in that video.
Nearly got hit by the goal.
Yeah. It would have been great telly. It would have been great telly. So the Palace cheerleaders getting everybody warm for the game, which is only 8 minutes away, so a couple of minutes before we throw to our commentary team, Ali Mann and Michael Brown in the stadium. They're going to come out of that tunnel just there. No one's having a good time in the Crystal Palace end. Final thoughts before this one, Kit?
Yeah, I think it's a big game for both teams for sort of different reasons, but I'm expecting with the win midweek, I think that's given City great confidence, and I'm expecting an away win today. Yeah, I think, as they're alluding to there, Brownie and Nat, the conditions will be very difficult though, so that could be a bit of a leveller, but I still think City will have enough to find a way to win this game.
Keith?
Yeah, I think City will go with a back four. And I think it will be Rico that will operate from the left and then default into his holding midfield position. I don't think he'll start in there until they gain that dominance of the football. Again, everything that City get today, they will earn. And they're going to have to earn it as well, which I don't think that's a bad thing.
One thing that Michael and Nat touched on in the stadium just then is that there's Jack Grealish and Jeremy Doku on the bench, which does offer alternatives if the game isn't quite going the way that Pep wants it, which hasn't been the case for a lot of this season, Kit.
No, that's right. I mean, like I say, they're both disappointed not to start, I'm sure, but both can make a real impact, and I'm sure we will see them at some stage. And I mean, Doku, we know, has got a real goal threat as well, and like I say, that's what we want to see a bit more of from Jack. Really, is either starting or coming off the bench and getting a couple of goals or a couple of assists or whatever. So. But great players, I mean, of tremendous quality to have sitting on your bench, and you know, they can both come on and change a game.
And there's Jack and there's Jeremy, all huddled up in their jackets. We hope that we'll see them in the second half. We hope that by the time we see them, Manchester City will be in a position of ascendancy. I just want to pick up on a quote that Pep Guardiola has said pre-match. He says he wants Mateus Nunes and Savinho to bring the energy today, Keith.
Yeah, I think that's what they both are, energetic players, and I think again, just touching on the subs bench now, that they are game changers. You get an opportunity then if you bring in Doku on, you bring in Grealish on, the good replacements to come in. They both they're influential players as well. They bring that spark and they bring that creativity, and they're good. Footballing ability that they can open doors as well. Excellent to have them on the bench, and again, and by the looks of what I've seen so far, they've got the right mindset. They're not walking around, they're not sulking, they're not. I saw Jack; he's always got a smile on his face, hasn't he? And I think that's when you get the best out of Jack Grealish, is when he's got a smile on his face. Won't be happy and will be disappointed, but he's in a good mental space.
It's brilliant at Crystal Palace. The players basically come out into this congregation area where the media are walking past them. There's some fans that are near them, they're sheltered, and then they come out of this makeshift tunnel. That is the walk that Manchester... You go up there if you want the media feed, just behind them, up those steps. So you've brought the energy, like Nunez, like Savinho are bringing the energy today. I need score predictions from you both before we hand over to the comms teams.
An earned 2-0.
An earned 2-0, Kit?
2-1 win City.
2-1 win City. I'm going to go 3-1. The teams are in the tunnel. It's Crystal Palace against our Manchester City. Get yourself onto the City app for full match commentary from the very, very wonderful Michael Brown and the even more wonderful Ali Mann.
Thanks, Chris. Well, to say things can change very quickly has never been a greater understatement than the situation that City currently find themselves in. After defeat at Liverpool, they sat outside the top four, some 11 points adrift of the leaders Liverpool, and just 6 days on, a win today at Selhurst Park, and the Blues will be up to second and just 6 points behind Arne Slot's side. And if there's one thing that recent history has taught us, there's no more ominous sign in this title race, or indeed any